Right. So you know that feeling, right? Like when you're just totally lost, especially in your 20s. It's like you're at this crossroads with a million different paths ahead of you, but like no clue which one you should even take. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, totally. I've been there.
And it's like you see all these success stories online, right? Like all over social media, and those YouTube gurus are always like, "Find your passion," and it's like, come on, how it's so overwhelming.
I know exactly what you mean.
So we wanted to like cut through all of that noise and really get to like the core of what's going on here.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
sure.
So we like went through a ton of advice from all the top creators out there. We've synthesized it all, and we're ready to like share the real wisdom with you.
Absolutely. So,
Okay, so first things first, right?
yeah,
Feeling lost, it's like super common.
it is.
It's not like you're weak or failing or anything.
Not at all. It's actually like a natural response, but to a totally unnatural situation. Like, if you think about it, we're living in a world that's like so different from how humans actually evolved.
Totally.
We're constantly bombarded with choices and pressures, and it's like it's so easy to just feel disconnected from who you really are.
Right? Like we're trying to navigate this crazy modern jungle with like this ancient compass. So
Exactly.
how do we even like begin to find our way?
Right.
Well, one of the most powerful things that we came across is this thing called the iceberg illusion. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. The iceberg illusion. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's from this video on like dealing with feeling like a failure, and it just like it really hit home for me.
Yeah, it's so true. It highlights how we only ever see the tip of the iceberg when it comes to someone's success. Like we see the awards, the achievements, the perfect Instagram posts.
Right, but we don't see the like the massive amount of effort and the failures and the setbacks that are like hidden beneath the surface.
Exactly. It's like all the stuff that no one talks about.
Right, it's like you see a successful entrepreneur and you're like, "Wow, they're so lucky." But you don't see like the years that they spent hustling and learning and making mistakes before they got there.
Totally. And it's not even just about hard work either. There's this whole concept of unfair advantages. Like some people just start out with built-in benefits.
Right. Like what kinds of things?
Well, we analyzed this book, and the author talks about things like wealth and connections, a supportive family, like things you don't have any control over.
So true.
Those things can give people a huge head start in life.
Okay, so that makes sense. It's like easy to compare yourself to someone who had a totally different starting point and feel discouraged.
Right.
Like Evan Spiegel, the co-founder of Snapchat, he came from like a really privileged background, and that definitely played a role in his success.
For sure, but recognizing these advantages isn't about making excuses or feeling like a victim.
For sure.
It's about understanding the playing field and like finding your own unique strengths.
Okay, I get that. So it's like, yeah, some people have advantages, but that doesn't mean you can't succeed. It just means you need to play the game a little differently.
Exactly. You got to find your own path.
So it's all about perspective then, right? Like finding meaning and purpose in whatever you do, regardless of what other people think.
Exactly. Like that's what really matters at the end of the day. Like finding that internal compass and defining what success means to you.
Yeah, I love that. Like, it's not about the job title or the money. It's about the impact you make and the value you bring.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a great place to start. Like, understanding the external factors and then shifting our focus inwards, right? Like, what's driving us? What do we really care about?
Totally. We got to get to the heart of who we are and what we want.
Okay, so we've talked about like the external stuff, but I feel like a lot of this feeling lost also comes from inside, you know?
Oh,
It's like
absolutely.
that voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough or talented enough or like plain lost.
Yeah, totally. Like a lot of the advice that we looked at, it really emphasized like addressing the root causes of those negative feelings.
Yeah, like where does that even come from?
Well, they often stem from like unresolved trauma, unmet needs, limiting beliefs that we've kind of carried with us from our past.
That makes sense. Like if you've been told you're not good at something since you were a kid, like that belief can really stick with you
It can.
and hold you back from like pursuing your dreams.
Exactly. One technique that a lot of creators suggested for like uncovering these hidden beliefs is journaling.
Oh yeah, journaling. That's a good one.
It's a really powerful way to like tap into your subconscious and identify those triggers that contribute to feelings of inadequacy or anxiety.
Like having a conversation with yourself on paper.
Yeah, exactly.
You can ask yourself questions like, what am I really afraid of? Or what are those negative voices in my head telling me?
Right. And once you bring those hidden fears and beliefs to the surface, you can start to challenge them and reframe your thinking.
Okay, so let's say we've done the inner work. We've started to address those limiting beliefs, but we still feel stuck. What are some practical steps we can take to like start moving forward?
One recurring theme that we saw was the importance of taking action, even if you don't have everything figured out. It's about experimenting, trying new things, seeing what resonates with you.
Okay, so just like do something.
Pretty much.
But like, what if you don't even know what you want to do?
That's the thing. A lot of creators emphasize that it's okay to not have a rigid plan. Like sometimes the best path unfolds organically, through a series of unexpected events and connections.
Like life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Exactly.
But it's not just about like sitting back and waiting for things to happen, right?
Right. It's about creating space for those opportunities by being open to new experiences and following your curiosity.
Well, not like that.
And there's this powerful concept from Eastern philosophy that relates to this, the idea of surrender.
Surrender, that sounds kind of intense.
It's not about giving up on your dreams or anything. It's about releasing the need to control every aspect of the journey and trusting that things will unfold as they should.
So it's more about letting go of the resistance
Exactly.
and allowing things to flow naturally.
Yeah. And it ties into cultivating a mindset of trust and patience because finding your path, it's not a linear process. It's a journey with twists and turns.
This makes me think of that guy who learned to code at 32 while working a full-time job and raising a kid.
Oh, yeah. That's a great example. It's like a powerful reminder that it's never too late to pursue your passions.
And that challenges can be overcome with persistence and determination.
Totally. And what's inspiring about that story is it highlights the importance of taking small steps. Like, he didn't quit his job and dive headfirst into coding. He started by dedicating a small amount of time each day.
Like building momentum gradually.
Exactly.
This reminds me of another piece of advice we came across, the power of microactions. Even something as simple as taking a 10-minute walk in nature can boost your creativity and well-being.
Totally. Or meditating for just a few minutes each day can help you quiet your mind and connect with your inner wisdom.
Yeah, it's like these small actions might seem insignificant, but they can create a ripple effect that transforms your mindset
They can.
and opens up new possibilities.
It's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
Start with small weights and gradually increase the intensity over time.
Okay, so we've talked about taking action, but what about rest and recovery?
Oh, that's crucial. We live in a culture that glorifies hustle and burnout.
So true.
But the creators we analyzed, they really emphasized prioritizing self-care.
Self-care, yeah, I need to work on that.
We all do.
What did they say about it?
They talked about the concept of periodization, which is something that top performers in all fields use.
Okay, tell me more about that.
It basically involves alternating periods in intense work with deliberate rest and recovery.
Oh, that's interesting.
It makes sense if you think about it. Like if you're constantly pushing yourself to the limit, you're going to burn out.
For sure.
But if you build in time for rest and rejuvenation, you can sustain your energy and motivation over the long term.
So it's about finding that balance between action and rest, pushing yourself and honoring your limits.
Exactly. And recognizing that rest is not a luxury. It's an essential part of the growth process.
This reminds me of something I've been trying to do lately, like taking short breaks throughout the day to just disconnect from work and recharge. Even just a few minutes of chatting with a colleague about something fun
Yeah,
can really shift my energy.
totally. Those micro moments of recovery can make a huge difference.
Okay, so we've talked about external factors, internal beliefs, taking action, surrendering to the journey, and the importance of rest.
We've covered a lot.
What else should we keep in mind as we navigate this whole finding our path thing?
One of the most powerful pieces of advice that we came across was a simple reminder: be kind to yourself.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's so easy to get caught up in self-criticism and comparison, especially when you're feeling lost.
It is. But remember, you're on a journey, and it's okay to stumble. Make mistakes, change course along the way. In fact, those experiences are often the most valuable teachers.
I love that. It's about embracing the imperfections and celebrating the progress, no matter how small it might seem.
Exactly, and it's about recognizing that you're not alone in this journey. We all feel lost at times, and that's perfectly normal.
This reminds me of a quote that really resonated with me. We are all self-made. It's just the successful ones that talk about it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? Because it highlights the fact that everyone has their own unique journey.
Yeah,
And what looks like overnight success from the outside is often the result of years of unseen effort and perseverance.
so true. We tend to focus on the highlight reels, but the real story is in the behind-the-scenes struggles, the failures, the lessons learned along the way.
So we've covered like a ton of ground here, right? Like from understanding why we feel lost to like practical strategies for actually moving forward. But I think it all comes down to this one question, like how do we actually know what we want?
That's the question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer, but one thing that kept coming up in all the advice we look at was connecting with your intuition.
Intuition. Okay. That sounds kind of like out there, you know?
Yeah, it can be a bit abstract, but it's essentially like that inner voice, that gut feeling that guides you towards what feels right, even if you can't explain it logically.
Okay, I think I get it. So it's like all those practices we talked about, curling, medication, spending time in nature, they can help quiet all the noise and create space for that inner voice to come through.
Exactly. It's like tuning into those subtle signals that your body and mind are sending you. Like what excites you, what brings you joy, what makes you feel alive.
And sometimes it's not like a big obvious sign, right? It could be a whisper,
It could be.
like paying attention to those little things that spark your interest or make you feel curious.
Yeah. And that's where experimentation comes in. You might not know what you want until you actually try different things and see what feels right.
So it's less about having like this big master plan and more about taking small steps, following your curiosity, and seeing where it leads.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to change direction along the way. You might start down one path and realize it's just not a good fit.
Right? It's not about failing, it's about learning.
Exactly.
But this reminds me of something we saw. Like, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It just like gets rid of all the fear and lets you really connect with what you want.
Yeah, it's a powerful question. It allows you to tap into your deepest desires. Like, what would you pursue if there are no limits, no expectations, no chance of failure?
It's a great exercise. I think it can help us break free from all those limiting beliefs that hold us back.
Totally.
Okay, so let's say we have like a sense of what we want. Even if it's just like a small glimmer, what's next?
Action. Take action. Even if it's a tiny step, it's about moving forward.
So it's like combining that inner knowing with outer action.
Exactly. Listen to your intuition and then take concrete steps to make it happen.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about intuition experimentation, taking action. What else?
Don't forget, you don't have to do this alone.
Oh, right. It's like we always try to figure it out by ourselves, but there's so much power in asking for help.
Exactly. There are tons of resources out there, mentors, coaches, communities, books, podcasts.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, and finally, don't forget to celebrate your progress.
Yes. Celebrate the wins.
Big or small, acknowledge those moments of clarity, the times you pushed yourself outside your comfort zone.
It's so easy to just focus on the end goal, right? But it's like we need to appreciate the journey.
Exactly. All the growth that happens along the way.
Okay, so to wrap things up, like if you're feeling lost, you are not alone. It's totally normal. And there are so many ways to find your way. Connect with your intuition experiment. Take action. Be kind to yourself. And celebrate every step of the way. You got this.
I love that you said it perfectly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Yeah, we hope you found it helpful.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep diving deep.